Not exactly a Second Amendment publication, folks. These are people who don't like the Second Amendment. They say, should people on the no-fly list be able to buy guns? They said yes. Because you know what? If you don't do that, you're going to be punishing people before you give them due process. You know, you have a secret list that you're creating, and then you're going to, on the basis of that secret list, you're going to punish people. They say it seems simple enough. If the federal government, based on intelligence or on policing, puts a person on its watch list of suspected terrorists or decrees that he or she is too dangerous to be allowed on an airplane, then surely it would also be foolish to let that person buy a firearm in the U.S. It makes sense, doesn't it? Because that's the argument we've heard over and over again from Imam Obama. He says that was a thrust of a proposed law by Senator Dianne Feinstein that her Senate colleagues rejected last week. The idea was resuscitated by Imam Obama in his Oval Office address on that Sunday evening. He said, what could possibly be the argument for allowing a terrorist suspect to buy a semi-automatic weapon? They said the problem is the people on the no-fly list, as well as the people who are on the broader terror watch list from which it's drawn, have not been convicted of doing anything wrong. See, the punishment doesn't fit the crime. The punishment precedes the crime. We are combining the worst aspects of our most dystopian science fiction all together here in one place. We've got elements of George Orwell. We've got elements of Franz Kafka. We've got elements of Philip K. Dick and his Minority Report pre-crime. All these things are being brought together in a hellish tyranny that's going to be controlled by a government that watches and controls your every move. Don't think that they're not going to use these watch lists to deny you complete movement in this country. The TSA is the Transportation Administration, okay? Not the Airport Administration. Security, safety, whatever the S stands for. I could care less. It's a total lie. It's a total fraud. They're not providing security or safety for anybody. And it is about transportation. And they're going to be taking control of the automobiles, everything, in the next few years with technology. So they're going to be able to shut you down completely, not just control whether or not you get firearms. We have to be focused on the watch list. We have to watch the watchers. Why are they putting people on this list? How do you get on it? How do you get off? Where's the due process? Where is the Constitution? When we come back, we're going to be joined by Dew and McAdoo, and we're going to talk about these watch lists. We're watching. Stay with us. Watch us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, your host, and joining me right now are Rob Dew and Leanne McAdoo. We're going to talk about these super secret watch lists and what you should be afraid of. Before we get to that discussion, real quickly, I want to remind you of the sales that we have at Infowars.com. We have 20% off all Alexa Pure water filters at InfoWarsStore.com. That includes everything from our large systems, a super high-quality gravity-fed Alexa Pure Pro water filtration system, all the way down to the shower filters. All of the Alexa Pure water filter products are 20% off right now at InfoWarsStore.com. Also, we have a new special, the Tim Kennedy special, and that's 15% off Super Male Vitality, Brain Force, and Secret 12 at InfoWarsLife.com. Why those three products? Well, those are three products that Tim Kennedy uses in his Special Forces and UFC training. He trains like a top-flight professional athlete, because with just UFC, he is a top-flight professional athlete, but of course he's also in Special Forces. He said that these products he felt were especially helpful. He's talked to Alex about that. We've got hundreds of five-star reviews on those products, and again, you can get Tim Kennedy's preferences right there, his favorite products, Super Male Vitality, Brain Force, and Secret 12, 15% off right now at InfoWarsLife.com. Well, Rob and Leanne, I got to say, just real quickly before we get back into the watch list stuff, are you aware that the Senate has now approved women having to register for the draft? So now women have equality in slavery.
Wow.
That's part of the NDAA.
I
course,
knew that was coming.
Yeah, it hasn't become law yet because it still has to go to the House. The House has previously rejected women as slaves, and so now they're going to go back and revisit that issue. But again, I just have to say, my parents' generation, nobody had to hold a gun to anybody's head to get them to join the fight after Pearl Harbor. If you've got a justified war, if your country has been attacked or whatever, and I understand the basis of Pearl Harbor, I know that FDR had people step down. I know that to that degree, what was going on. Nevertheless, people who were there, they understood at that point they were in it. They were in a fight for their lives, just like we're seeing with the war on terror. You know, you create this situation, and then, you know, once the shooting starts, you know, you got to pick up a gun. And
or once you have the false flag.
Once you got the false flag,
you know, with 9/11, you know, people can say what they want about it. There's something fishy going on there, but that caused a lot of people, Joe Biggs included, who saw that and said, you know, I want to go fight. And who was the football player, the Arizona Cardinal? Who ended up getting killed after he decided, oh, he's like, wait, I'm fighting for the wrong people and for the wrong reasons.
That's right.
And we're running drugs. I forget his name. Pat Tillman.
Yes, exactly. Well, I'm watching Game of Thrones right now, and it's kind of, it's just the same thing over and over and over again, except for back then they could just say, give us all your men in the village and they're going to go fight our war for us. It's the same thing here, but then now they have to find new ways to convince people to go and fight their wars. That's
right. If you've got a clear cause, if it's justified, or even if you've got a good backstory with a false flag, you don't need a draft. But, you know, what we should be afraid of, very afraid of, is the fact that they are so anxious to
start a war with Russia.
Start a war. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you guys do some computer stuff, and they tell us that it's from Russia. We don't know that it's from Russia. I mean, most of the Aaron Swartz,
paid Russian hacker who's really a CIA double agent. You know, it could be any number of things.
That's right.
And that's not even a violent act, although, you know, it leaves too much open ground. To start something that that the only way to finish it is an all-out war, and that's something I don't think 90% of the people want.
No, nobody wants, but they're really gearing us up for it.
And no real control over it either. If they're just going to tell us, yeah, you know, there was this cyber attack, and so now we're going to have a physical war. Let's start World War III because there was a cyber attack here. Let's get to the watch list, because this is very key. You know, this is the LA Times that I was reading from, talking about how the problem is, how do you get on the no-fly list? I mean, we're operating from the assumption here, the NRA. Let me read you what the NRA is saying here. The NRA statement on terror watch lists. And this is from their legal organization, the Institute for Legislative Action. So this is the NRA-ILA. They say the NRA believes terrorists should not be allowed to purchase or possess firearms, period. Oh, who's going to disagree with that? Question is, who is a terrorist? Who gets to define what a terrorist is? And they say anyone on a terror watch list who tries to buy a gun should be thoroughly investigated by the FBI, and the sale should be delayed while the investigation is ongoing. And that's the legislation that's being offered by Texas Senator Cornyn in opposition to Dianne Feinstein, which would just basically say, well, as long as, you know, whatever, we're just going to use it to do gun control. The NRA continues and says, if an investigation uncovers evidence of terrorist activity or involvement, the government should be allowed to immediately go to court, block the sale, and arrest the terrorist. And I look at this and it's like, wait a minute.
And arrest the terrorist.
They've got a lot of steps.
He's already a terrorist.
There's a lot of steps in due process that they left out here. And the steps that they've got are in the wrong order. The punishment doesn't come first. And you don't become a terrorist because somebody accuses you secretly and puts you on a secret watch list that you don't know anything about. We've had people like Ted Kennedy put on a terror watch list and told that he was not able to fly. It turned out it was a T. Kennedy, and it took it took Senator Kennedy 3 weeks to get his name cleared. Now, in that particular case, I would say maybe it was justified. I would say that because politically, I don't agree with him, and that's what this is going to become. It's going to become an instrument of political oppression. Okay, not that I would do that to somebody because I disagree with him politically. I was joking about that, but that's precisely what they will do. We've been told this is about domestic right-wing extremists more than it is about Islamic terrorists. How many times do they have to tell us that? And we were told that again this week by Jay Johnson, Homeland Security.
And Art Acevedo.
Yeah, Art Acevedo, yeah. He's like, hey, let me remind you
guys.
Yeah, they're at a meeting, and our police chief here, you know, they have this meeting, and he's like a little Mr. Brown-noser. Oh, let me remind you, Mr.
The
Johnson.
real problem here.
Yeah, we know who the real people are that we're after.
Shift the narrative back around. Well, it's just like the leaked DNC talking points that we are seeing with showing all the Trump opposition and how they have the timeline for the talking points they're going to use to take out Trump. Well, this is sort of the same thing because they saw this as their opportunity for the no-fly, no-buy, and they're really rolling that out as the talking point, even though it would not have stopped this terror attack. It has nothing to do with what happened in Orlando.
In fact, one of the gun shops he went to get bulk ammunition and body armor, level 3 body armor, they notified the FBI. They did what they were supposed to do. They said, this seems fishy. Hey, red flag, red flag, red flag. And what happened? FBI obviously did nothing. They sat on it for one reason or another. I don't know. Either they're incompetent or they did it on purpose. I don't know.
You have a fellow worker with him that alerted the world's largest private security firm and said, hey, this guy's making all kinds of hateful remarks about all these different groups of people. He wants to kill everybody. Oh, we're not going to do anything because he's a Muslim. It would be politically incorrect to do it. Right. So the private security firm, the state government, the federal government, Homeland Security, all these people have had this guy in their crosshairs for the longest period of time and let him go.
But David, now they're going to fix it. Now they can fix it if they could just get the guns. Your guns, my guns, and your guns, and everybody who's not a government official, if they can get their guns, it'll solve the problem.
But see, the thing is, we have to be worried about, it's not gun control, but it's border patrol. If a terrorist comes into the country, or if we import them by the tens of thousands like Imam Obama is doing, okay, you're going to have a situation. Yeah, you're going to have a situation. Yeah, that's the headline on Drudge today. Yep. We got this Middle Eastern lady that was apprehended at the border that had a pipeline plans. Okay, so if you're a terrorist and you come into this country, do you really want a semi-automatic rifle, or would you rather have a nuclear weapon, a biological weapon, a chemical weapon, or maybe just blow up our infrastructure, the gas infrastructure? I mean, if you the problem is somebody who wants to create a crime like that. It isn't the weapon, okay? And that's not going to be the most lethal weapon that they get.
And she was someone on the refugee program.
Yeah.
One apprehended.
There you go.
So, yeah, I mean, these are people that need our help, and we're aiding them in
helping to destroy
this country.
So I did a quick look. I put children on no-fly list, and it brought up hundreds of articles. I just printed out a few. The first one from Associated Press back in 2006. 4-year-old turns up on no-fly list. So this is a 4-year-old, okay? Then here's Mikey, who they just had on there. Mikey's the Boy Scout, Mikey Hicks. Back in 2010, the U.S. had him on the watch list, the terror watch list, no-fly list. Then we've got... here's an 18-month-old baby yanked from airplane for being on no-fly list. 18-month-old baby. Like there's no logic being based on what they're doing.
Face.
It's
just terror.
Yeah. Grab that pacifier. Take that right out of her mouth. Yeah.
TSA detains 5-year-old because his name was on the no-fly list.
So these are these bumbling fools that they're like, well, I don't know, 5-year-old, your name's on the list.
Exactly. And then in 2014, an Oregon judge said, we got to stop this no-fly list. This is ridiculous. And it was 14 plaintiffs came forward and said, look, we don't know how we get on. We don't know how we get off. He tried to stop it, but here, still 2016, Canadian 6-year-old, still on no-fly list despite government's help. And I did find out how you get on the no-fly list. Check out this criteria. Okay, they don't want to base it. They say they don't base it on anything that includes freedom of speech or exercise of religion or peaceful assembly. But that can be superseded, such as if the individual expresses sympathy toward a group the U.S. government considers to be a terrorist organization, or a student of a school or university that employs professors or other staff who are known to espouse ideologies and beliefs the U.S. deems radical.
Oh, yeah.
So that's how you get radical on the list. Anything radical
that the U.S. deems.
And just understand that all across Europe, anybody who opposes the European Union, who opposes the open borders, they're all called radicals. Extremists.
Yeah.
Okay. So all you have to do is just be politically opposed to open borders and the destruction of your sovereignty and your country, and you're immediately an enemy of the state, an enemy of the globalist state. And that's what really should concern us. We've got here's an article. 9 out of 10 people on the terror watch list who sought guns were approved in 2015, says CNN. Oh, you think that might be a problem? Well, no, actually, the FBI says, no, there's a reason for that. And FBI was just overridden by the Department of Justice. They said, we don't want to have the no-fly list be used as a gun ban. The FBI said that. Why would they say that? Well, they said, we're doing an investigation with these people, and we've got them on this list, and we don't want to alert them if we're actually doing an investigation to see if this person is a terrorist. If they go in and try to buy a gun, as it is right now, we get notified, but we don't block the gun sale because we want to do part of our investigation. You're going to tip them off. So the Obama Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, has now overruled the FBI director because he's under her and said, no, we're going to do it. Not giving no explanation as to
that's exactly what they did with the underwear bomber. They were notified by his father and other people that this guy was being radicalized. He was given a bomb, incidentally, that didn't work on purpose. And then Undersecretary of State Patrick Kennedy testified before Congress that they did not block his travel visa because they wanted to see who he was working with. And then this incident happens and they go, oh, body scanners. We just happen to have them here. And here's the former DHS head who happens to run the company that sells body scanners. It's so amazing.
Convenient.
It always happens. They say, we've been watching this guy for a long time. You hear that every time. You heard it in France. You heard it everywhere. This is a known wolf, not a lone wolf.